solve the location holding area problem.
Right now, at this moment, we are setting up 2 cameras for Bruce Willis to drive to a stoplight and make a couple of wisecracks. Whoa! Whoa! Some guy, just some asshole, just like right in my frame. Who is that guy? Oh, what an asshole! There's another asshole, my producer, right next to him. Man, tapping his fucking watch. Oh, whoa, whoa! We got a driving asshole here. Okay, so Mr. Willis, let me ask you a question here. Is this the finest moment of your acting career, or what?
This is the pinnacle. From here on in, it slides down the backside of the could be it. People years from now say, whatever happened to Willis? He had such a good career going. And they'll look back to this point, this moment. This was where it rolled over.
This is your stroker ace.
Quentin Tarantino is easily one of the best working filmmakers, mixing the sensibilities of cult films from the 60s and 70s with his own unique style. While hugely popular, he has also been a very polarizing figure in the movie space.
But Quentin, you strangled Diane Kruger, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
But how badly did you strangle her?
Well, it was interesting because the thing is, whenever you do a close-up of somebody being strangled in a film,
yeah,
I never buy it.
Known for a heavy amount of violence.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
And raunchy dialogue.
Did you notice a sign in the front of my house that said dead nigger storage?
Many have also found it unnecessary and problematic.
But why are you so sure that there's no link between enjoying movie violence and enjoying real violence?
I'm going to tell you why I'm so sure. Don't ask me a question like that. I'm not biting. I refuse your question.
Why?
Because I refuse your question. I'm not your slave and you're not my master. You can't make me dance to your tune. I'm not a monkey.
He went from a hot commodity in Hollywood to becoming one of the most iconic auteurs of cinema in just 2 decades. With only 9 films under his belt, and yes, I know he's technically made 10, but he considers Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 as one film, he's created a lasting impact with a much smaller catalog of projects compared to the other greats like Spielberg or Scorsese. With the latest news of the cancellation of his project, The Movie Critic, which would have starred Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and Paul Walter Hauser, there's no better time than now to go through his other cancelled films. While Tarantino is largely known for making original films with his unique creative voice, what if I told you he came very close to making several franchise films? Before becoming an in-demand name thanks to Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino had his humble beginnings at Video Archives, a rental store in LA, where he also worked with good friend Roger Avery, with whom he'd go on to write Pulp Fiction. After Reservoir Dogs became a hit, Tarantino began working on a Luke Cage script, one of his favorite Marvel heroes. Had the film come to fruition, it would have been Marvel's first major motion picture on the big screen, following the 2 straight-to-DVD films like The Punisher starring Dolph Lundgren and Captain America featuring Red Skull, who's Italian now.
Good, an American. Just when I am needing help of my English lessons.
And for some reason, it received a theatrical release in the Philippines as Blood Match. It's also best known for the fact that Cap has rubber ears, because I guess putting ear holes in the mask was clearly too difficult. Years later, it'd be re-released on DVD in 2011 to capitalize on the release of Captain America: The First Avenger. Wow, we got off topic there. Ed Pressman, who had produced the Crow adaptation, held the film rights to Luke Cage. Tarantino met with him several times and even cast Lawrence Fishburne in the title role. However, Tarantino would pivot his focus onto Pulp Fiction, leaving the film in limbo. Looking back at the decision, Tarantino noted, "My kind of feeling is if I wanted to do something like that, I'd create a superhero myself." Although a shame the project never saw the light of day, Tarantino and Fishburne have not made a film together. Hopefully that could change with the director's upcoming final film. Known in the industry as a huge comic book enthusiast, he became attached to several other superhero projects throughout the 1990s. Already set on making a film based on the Silver Surfer, the filmmaker even included a poster of the iconic hero in Mr. Orange's apartment in Reservoir Dogs. At the time, the rights to the Fantastic Four and all its related characters were owned by Constantin Film. After writing an extensive 500-page script, he pitched the project to the studio. Surprisingly, they passed on his pitch in favor of what would become the infamous 1994 Fantastic Four film.
I knew it would be the fitting instrument of my revenge.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
Even though the Silver Surfer never made his way to the silver screen, Tarantino would funnily include dialogue about the character in Tony Scott's Crimson Tide after being hired to rewrite the script.
Rivetti, what's up?
I'm sorry, sir. It's just a difference of opinion that got out of hand.
What about?
It's really too silly to talk about, sir. I'd rather just forget about it.
I don't give a damn about what you'd rather forget about. Why were you two fighting?
Well, I said that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only real Silver Surfer, and that the Mobius Silver Surfer was shit. And Benefield's a big Mobius fan, and things got out of hand. I pushed him, he pushed me. I lost my head, sir. I'm sorry.
Succeeding the release of Pulp Fiction, our good buddy Quentin became the coolest kid on the block in Hollywood. While he usually prefers his own original stories, he was still offered several franchise projects besides just superheroes, one being The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Years before the Guy Ritchie reboot starring Henry Cavill as Napoleon Solo and Armie Hammer as Ilya Kuryakin, Tarantino envisioned George Clooney and himself in the roles. The project was unfortunately cancelled, but the two would go on to star in From Dusk Till Dawn as brothers.
I remember we were doing an MTV interview, and they were like, you know, why did you think about George? And Quentin was like, well, you know, man, it was like, I was sitting there, I was watching ER, man, and I look over and I'm thinking, you know, fuck, man, like that guy and I could be like brothers, you know? And I'm sitting there like going, what?
A joint collaboration between Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino, which is just a really good time. Highly recommend it.
Let's see if you taste as good as your brother.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
Gary! I was just looking for the sports channel, Gary.
Sometime later in the 90s, Warner Brothers would offer him a chance at directing Green Lantern. He declined, relating to MTV, "I'm a writer, I'd want to use my imagination and not have to fight with geeks' memories of how this character should be. And oh, I cast an actor as opposed to a bodybuilder, or it's not as good as the way Neil Adams drew him. If I were to do something like that, I would want the fun of coming up with a superhero myself." Again reiterating the same feelings as Luke Cage. With a huge focus on the cosmic side of the DC universe, it would have been a thrill to see Tarantino tackle sci-fi, a genre you'd never imagine with the director. Offered yet another superhero project, Iron Man would be the final superhero-related project Tarantino would even consider. Under Fox, the project was aiming to be a low-budget film with a screenplay by Stan Lee and iRobot writer Jeff Vintar. Nicolas Cage and Tom Cruise were the studio's top choices for Tony Stark. Cruise was extremely interested and wished to be a producer as well. Tarantino passed on the project and was sadly shelved, with the rights reverting back to Marvel, which would lead to the 2008 film. Speaking on his experience and how superhero films are viewed now, the auteur relayed, "My only axe to grind is they're the only things that seem to be made, and they're the only things that seem to generate any kind of excitement amongst a fan base or even for the studio making them. Back in 2005, if an actor stars in a movie that does as good as the Marvel movies do, then the guy's an absolute star. That's not the case now. We want to see that guy playing Wolverine or whatever." These comments fascinatingly got him in hot water from Robert Downey Jr. and frequent collaborator Samuel L. Jackson. However, his comment sadly rings true when studying recent box office trends, and even Anthony Mackie has said similar sentiments too.
The evolution of the business has gone to, like, there are no movie stars anymore. Like, Anthony Mackie isn't a movie star. The Falcon is a movie star. And that's what's weird. It used to be with Tom Cruise and Will Smith and Stallone and Schwarzenegger. When you went to the movies, you went to go see the Stallone movie. You went to go see the Schwarzenegger movie. Now you go see X-Men. So the evolution of the superhero has meant the death of the movie star.
Into the 2000s, Quentin Tarantino had earned the respect of Hollywood as one of the best current directors in the biz. At this time, it became apparent he undoubtedly had a preference for creating his own original stories. That being said, there was one film series he was passionate to step into, and that was A huge fan of the franchise and spy films in general, Tarantino's dream was to reinvigorate the Bond series for a new era, but with a bit of a twist. He wanted it to be a period piece set in the 60s, and for it to star Pierce Brosnan, whose future as the character was pretty uncertain at the time. He also wanted to adapt the very first Bond book, Casino Royale. Peculiarly, an official licensed production of the book had yet to be made. Following Die Another Day's critical disappointment, Eon was unsure of where the franchise could go. Tarantino would discuss the project with Brosnan as well as the Fleming family, who were on board with him directing it.
It was after Kill Bill 2, and he wanted to meet me. And I went up into Hollywood one day from the beach, and I met him at the Four Seasons. I got there at 7 o'clock. I like to be punctual. I'm always punctual. 7:15 came around. No Quentin, he was upstairs doing press on Kill Bill. And someone sent over a martini. So I had the martini. And I waited, it was 7:30. And I thought, well, where the heck is he? Word came down, apologies. So I thought, well, I'll have another martini. And eventually he came down and he started ordering apple martinis. Well, we were fairly snockered. I was fairly snockered. But he did. He was pounding the table, saying, you are the best James Bond. I want to do James Bond with you. And it's very close quarters in the restaurant. I said, Quentin, please, calm down. But you don't tell Quentin Tarantino to calm down. Why is that beeping? Anyway, he wanted to do James Bond. I went back to the shop and told them, but it wasn't meant to be.
Unfortunately, Eon did not share the same enthusiasm, as they did not want a stylized Bond film that was very Tarantino-esque. Instead, GoldenEye filmmaker Martin Campbell was brought on board, much to Tarantino's disappointment. With Tarantino's ambition to adapt Casino Royale, it became the fan-favorite choice online for the movie. Eon decided to adapt it for the reboot, something Tarantino credits himself for influencing the decision.
Yeah, but part of the thing is, the reason they did Casino Royale all comes down to me. Because
well, why don't you just big yourself up while you're
well, it's the truth. I mean, the thing about it is, I made it a point that I said I wanted to do Casino Royale. They were already on record as saying that the movie was unfilmable. But then after I said it and talked about it for a little bit, then the big thing on all the internets was that was what the fans wanted to see. And so that's when they, oh, maybe it's not so unfilmable now.
After effectively turning the page on franchise works, Tarantino returned to the prospect of creating one, but rather as a crossover with one of his own characters. That would be Django Zorro. Co-writing the film with comedian Jared Carmichael, the project would have reunited Jamie Foxx and Antonio Banderas in their respective roles.
The story at the end of Django Unchained is hardly over, all right? They have to fight their way out of the South, and everyone's looking for them, but, you know, they're capable. But yeah, but since Django will eventually meet Zorro, you know they do.
Since the film's announcement, there's been no updates, with Carmichael confirming the film was up in the air due to the pandemic, saying, it's actually an incredible script that came in from that Django and Zorro that I would love for Sony to figure out, but I realize the impossibility of it. Although a bit disappointing, the project could theoretically still be made. I mean, even if Tarantino isn't directing it, as it's most likely he wouldn't want this to be his final film, I'm still 100% on board with the project, given he'd be involved in some way as a producer. In one of the most highly publicized news announcements in film history, Quentin Tarantino announced he had begun work on a Star Trek film alongside J.J. Abrams in 2017. Following Star Trek Beyond's mediocre box office return, which was just an alright movie, the series really needed a breath of fresh air. Quentin Tarantino was certainly the man for the job. Off the back of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he reiterated his intentions to get back to work on the project, as well as confirming an R rating. The next year in 2020, he sadly confirmed he was no longer attached, as he viewed the project to be too big and ambitious for his final film, explaining, "Look, I might come up with a really big idea, but right now the idea of a smaller audience almost all the way around is appealing to me." Plot details would later come out revealing the film was to involve time travel and have the Enterprise crew in the 1930s dealing with gangsters, largely inspired by the original series episode A Piece of the Action, which had a similar premise set in the 20s. The film was also set to mark the return of the cast from the previous Abrams films. It's certainly a missed opportunity, as Paramount have now completely moved on from the film, instead shifting to the now completed Star Trek Section 31 starring Michelle Yeoh, which is set to release later this year, and an untitled prequel film focusing on a younger Enterprise cast to be helmed by Andor's Toby Haynes. Most recently, Tarantino discussed the prospect of a First Blood remake starring Adam Driver as Rambo and Kurt Russell as the sheriff. While this sounds like it has huge potential, it seems to be more of a pitch than an actual film planned. Quentin Tarantino has just one film left before his retirement, so it's safe to say it'll be his own original thing, though he has left the door open for making TV shows and miniseries. Despite being offered plenty of crazy opportunities over the years, Quentin has chosen to be true to himself and make his movies so unapologetically him. He will no doubt go down in history as one of the greatest filmmakers of all time.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.